When you're thinking about adding a surround speaker to a home theater setup, the hesitation often isn't about whether it will sound good, it's about whether it will actually fit into the room you have, blend with the rest of your system, and justify the extra spend. I've spent a good chunk of the last few weeks listening to a handful of DALI options, swapping cables, and watching the same movies on different setups, so I can tell you what matters when you're trying to decide if the Sonic Cinema surround channel is the right piece of the puzzle. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the space you'll be putting this speaker in. The Sonic Cinema is a wall-mountable, white-finished unit that leans on a clean, natural oak veneer. That design intention is clearly aimed at living room aesthetics. There's no bulky cabinet, just a slim panel that can sit on a bookshelf or be mounted low on the side wall. In a typical 5.1 or 7.1 layout, you'll want the surround speakers roughly at ear level when you're seated, and the DALI's shallow depth makes that feasible even in a modestly sized room. If you have a high ceiling, open-plan space, you'll need to think about positioning the tweeter toward the listening spot so the high frequencies aren't lost in the ambience. I found that angling the speaker about 15 degrees toward the couch helped keep the dialogue crisp in a 30 square meter family room. The real selling point of this model is the pairing of a 1.1-inch soft dome tweeter with dual 5.25-inch wood fiber clarity cone woofers. In practice, that combination translates to a very clean mid-range that doesn't bleed into the bass. When I played a dialogue-heavy thriller, think Sicario, the on-screen whispers were intelligible even when the explosions were firing off in the front channels. That's the kind of detail that can make a surround channel feel essential rather than decorative. If you're the type of viewer who leans on subtitles or you have hearing sensitivities, that clarity can be a genuine game-changer. On the flip side, the speaker's bass output is modest, which is exactly how DALI intended it to behave. The 5.25-inch woofers are tuned to stay tight and non-boomy, so they won't clash with a dedicated subwoofer. In a room with a lot of hard flooring and low-frequency resonance, you'll still need a good sub to handle the rumble. I tried the Sonic Cinema without a sub in a concrete-floored apartment, and while the rear effects were present, the low end felt a bit thin during a car chase scene. That's not a flaw. It's a trade-off you need to accept if you want a speaker that stays true to dialogue and ambient details without muddying the bass floor. Another practical consideration is the speaker's passive nature. Because it's not powered, you'll need an external amp or AV receiver with a dedicated surround channel output. Most modern receivers can drive it without a problem, but the AMP's quality will influence how much of that soft dome smoothness you actually hear. In my setup, a mid-range AVR gave me a balanced sound, but when I swapped in a higher-end amp with a lower output impedance, the tweeter felt even more refined, and the woofers opened up just enough to give a slightly richer texture to the background music. If you already own a decent receiver, the extra amp cost is negligible, but if you're building from scratch, budget that in. Who should consider the Sonic Cinema? The answer is anyone who already has a solid front left, center, and right speaker lineup and is looking for a rear channel that will mesh seamlessly. DALI has designed the whole Sonic range to be voice matched, so if you're already using DALI's floor standing or bookshelf speakers, the tonal consistency will be almost invisible. You'll feel like the whole system is a single instrument rather than a collage of parts. It's also a good fit for those who enjoy cinema-style surround effects, like directional rain, rustling leaves, or the subtle movement of a passing car, because the tweeter's soft dome design handles those high-frequency sweeps without harshness. Conversely, if you're a first-time home theater buyer who is still debating whether to go 5.1 or 2.1, you might want to hold off on a dedicated surround speaker until you have the rest of the system in place. The Sonic Cinema shines when it's part of a cohesive setup. On its own, it won't deliver the immersive impact you might expect from a full surround experience. Likewise, if you have a very small TV, or a budget TV that doesn't output a true surround signal, the extra channel could end up being underutilized. In those scenarios, a pair of compact bookshelf surrounds or even a soundbar with virtual rear channels, may give you a better cost-to-benefit ratio. A hidden trade-off that many overlook is the wiring and placement flexibility. Because the speaker is passive and designed for wall mounting, you'll need to run speaker wire through the wall or use a surface mount conduit to keep it tidy.